for the Nintendo DS, and you said it was $29.99 for us?
You know, I think it's $34.99 new, but, you know, I got it on the buy it the week it comes out sale.
Okay, so check around for that. Definitely a good, you know, Nintendo DS title to have if you're tired of playing your puzzle quests. So. All right, guys, moving on in tradition of the portable reviews that we're doing, before I roll the intro here for this particular game, I have to say is that over the Epileptic Gaming 6-week break, I did something that I feel like I probably would have never done before. Now, let me just explain something real quick. I love traditional RPGs, okay? Give me a Final Fantasy, give me a Kingdom Hearts, you know, give me a Phantasy Star, you know, the old school, level your guy up, turn-based RPG, love it. Never really was a fan of tactical RPGs, though, and I got my first sort of introduction into tactical RPGs when I played Final Fantasy Tactics for the first time on the PlayStation 1. Now, during that time, it was also the time where it was right in between Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX, and I really found myself like having a very difficult time getting into it, despite that it was the Final Fantasy universe, etc., etc. So over the past 6 weeks, I've had a chance to not only play Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions on PSP, but also Jeanne d'Arc on the PSP, and then finally Disgaea Afternoon of Darkness. And I sort of sat here with all three of these tactics games, and I said, if I was going to choose one to review, if I was going to choose one to play for eternity, which one would it be? And so that is why I have chosen Disgaea Afternoon of Darkness. And with that being said, let's go ahead and roll the trailer for this title. It's for the PSP. It's a remake of a PlayStation 2 game. We'll find out how that plays into it. Let's go ahead and roll this.
Is there a problem with that? Anything can happen in the netherworld.
Okay, so actually that intro really sucked balls. Okay, first
it doesn't show off the game as
it didn't.
As it could.
It didn't.
It almost felt like something you guys made.
What? Oh,
so it almost seemed like something you guys
Thanks
made.
a lot, Force. Really appreciate that.
Does that
dickhead.
chick kick ass? That's what I want to know.
All
Kick
right.
some ass.
Let's pretend like you never saw that, actually. There's a couple reasons why. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to jump right to graphics and say, guys, again, this was an original PS2 title that came out, gosh, almost 7-8 years ago, maybe. I'm going to have to probably double check my accuracy of that statement. But it is a port. And lately we've been seeing a lot of ports from the PS2 to the PSP that have actually been very, very successful. And this is hands down one of those ports. Now, graphics real quickly going into it. You've got 3D environments, 3D levels, and then all of your characters are these 2D sprites that are, that are animated from a 360-degree, angle. So you've got a good combination of 2D, 3D, but more or less it serves its purpose and what it's supposed to do. The cutscenes are drawn well, they haven't added anything new to them, and the attacks that you see are actually very well done. And Force, yesterday we mentioned a game for the Game Boy Advance. It was Golden Sun. And one of the things that was cool about Golden Sun is that it used 2D sprites, but it still had these like epic fireball spells that you would do. Do you recall these at all?
Oh yeah, or whenever it started a battle, it gave you like a 3D version of your 2D character, kind of pulled back.
Right.
So it made it almost like a 3/4 view. I liked it.
This game is the same way in that all of your little special attacks like this, here you're shooting 1 billion arrows and they're flying down on like all these special attacks are very, very well done. That special attack actually had you aiming in real time on the screen. This special attack, moves you out into the universe and you attack from the moon. There's a lot to be said with what they do graphically, given the fact that it's very basic 3D with 2D sprites. And that's all I'm going to say about the graphics. The graphics are actually quite good. I love the anime style, and the characters are done very, very well. I'm going to give graphics an 8. Moving on now to sound. And guys, if you've been fans of Epileptic Gaming, you know that there is one thing that I love more than hearing myself talk, and that is the Japanese language. If I have the option to play a game in Japanese, you better fucking believe that I'm going to be turning on that Japanese. So anytime a game is put in front of me and it's like, yo, you can turn on the Japanese wheat and fucking you don't have to hear crappy US voice actors. I am like, fuck yeah. Sound automatically gets an extra point from me. But the bottom line is that the voice acting in this game is phenomenal, and there is a shitload of it. And that is what's so badass.
That's pretty cool for a portable.
Well, not only that, but the actual size of the UND is like 250 megabytes.
Wow.
So when you take into consideration, like, you have 18 chapters of the story, and then each chapter has like 4 levels, and each level has a story and full dialogue that goes along with it. It's very amazing. But what also is great is that every single attack has its own, you know? So when Etna does one attack, she doesn't just say the same thing over and over. And Force, I know you would appreciate something like that because you hate that repetitiveness in games.
Oh, I do.
Well, of course, when you cast fire over and over, you're going to be hearing fire or whatever the Japanese equivalent of it. But you're never dealing with just one character. And that's one of the reasons as I go into gameplay, you can have 10 guys up on the field. So my sound gets a 9.5, guys, because the music is phenomenal. I find myself whistling the music when I'm just sort of walking around or in my car. And to me, that is an indication that that music has done something. Like, it's implanted, it's ingrained itself in my brain, and for a good reason, because it's decent music. Sound is really great.
One thing.
Yes.
Quick. They want to know if you can speak Japanese or read Japanese.
I can do a little bit of both, but I did take several years of Japanese in high school and college. The problem is that I don't have anyone to practice Japanese with.
Except for
my
video
Japanese
games.
comprehension is basically limited to watching anime and reading the occasional stuff. So I have the kanji reading equivalent of about a first grader in Japan, which means that I can identify eat, sleep, shit, like,
oh, you learned shit in first
dad,
grade. That's good.
But I couldn't have a conversation. Like, I can understand
eat, sleep, shit.
Yeah, I can understand what someone is saying, but I might not be able to respond back to them. There you go. I
bet eat, sleep, shit could
language.
get you pretty far, though.
It could, dude.
So,
it really could.
wait, does this game, does it have subtitles to it then?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of
All
course. Well, I mean, come on, you guys. Don't be morons out there. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to put it in the Japanese language, it's got subtitles. And, vice versa. So, gameplay. And, guys, holy shit. Now, first off, I got to say this, okay? Again, I was never a huge tactics fan. But I do like strategy games, and I sort of like puzzle games. And to me, this is like an RPG puzzle game, okay? After playing Final Fantasy Tactics, after playing this Jan d'Arc, and after playing Disgaea basically takes the other two games, pulls down its pants, and does a big old 2 girls, 1 cup shit right on to these 2 games, because this game eclipses both of the other titles, Final Fantasy Tactics and Jan d'Arc, in the tactics RPG genre. And what's even more amazing is that is a port. Now, guys, it's really simple. You create characters, you level them up, you have specific classes, you bring these characters out onto a field, and then you do missions, or you progress through the story. And so there is so much to this game that I honestly, at this point, don't even know where to begin with gameplay, all right? I'm as flustered as I was when I first opened up this title, because I was like, holy shit, dude. This game has a lot to offer, not only in its combat, but in the way that you manage items, in the way that you manage your armies. And let me kind of break it down for you, okay? So you start off with 3 base characters, okay? You've got your 2 main characters, Etna and Larly, who you saw on the trailer. And the way it works is that there is an assembly in the game. And imagine it's like a government within hell, okay? And if I want to create a new character, I have to go to the government and like petition to them, I need a fucking mage to add to my party. So as you progress through the game, there's a whole level of this government where you are like requesting new characters and adding them to your roster. And by leveling up certain characters, you're unlocking these characters, and then you're taking them out to the battlefield. And then all of the places you revisit or that you've beat, you can revisit to level up your lower level characters. That's just one aspect. Then you've got this aspect of your items, where your items are almost completely random. And the best way I can explain
I like that. I like that a lot.
I like it too. It's very Diablo-esque, right? So you have a short sword, and there could be 8 short swords, but each one has different stats.
Oh, I love that
So one
stuff.
of them may have 9 attack versus 7 attack.
Right.
Here's the fucking badass thing about items and weapons and armors, is that there's inside of each item, there lives what they call an item world. Okay? And inside the item world, there are creatures that represent different attributes that your item can add on to. So let's just say I have a bulletproof vest, and it gives me 20 to my defense. But next to it, it says that it's got 2 guys that live inside the item world that are sentries. And each one has a number next to it. Maybe say, let's say 5 and 5. I can actually go into the world of the item and you fight all of these creatures. But what you're looking for is these specific creatures that then power up your items by killing